Broadcasting from Manhattan Beach and the World Wide Web, you're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSR HealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
Good afternoon and welcome to Consulting to Win, the show that coaches you to win in the game of business. I'm Leanne Farmer filling in today for Ralph White. Tough shoes to fill, but we're going to make a go of it. And our topic today is so interesting and so important that we are certain to have a lively discussion. With that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and give our listeners the phone number here at the studio. It is 800-555-5453. I'll be repeating that as we go along if you didn't get a chance to write it down, because I think you're going to have questions for my guests today, and we certainly welcome you to call in with those questions. Now, on Consulting to Win, we have talked time and again about time management, about putting things in your calendar and the importance of having control over your time and making things show up and you showing up for them and the results that produces. So today, we're going to talk about something that I think is just as important, but that many people overlook or they misunderstand or they just put off until the next day, and that is organization, a space management, if you will, or management of all the things in your life that physically appear in your space. Now, to help us talk about this, my guest today is Michelle Vieira. She is a certified professional organizer and the founder of Away with Chaos. And this is a company that works with people to empower them through the design of functional space, either at home or in the workplace. Michelle has a background in sales and marketing, and she's been working since around 1983 with companies and with individuals to support them in becoming organized. She's an active member of the National Association of Professional Organizers and is one of the first people in the country to achieve the status of Certified Professional Organizer. Now, I'll let you know, listeners, that Michelle and I know each other through our business connections, and I've been so impressed with her message and her approach that I wanted her to share her knowledge with you, and I think this is going to be a very enlightening conversation. So, Michelle, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Leanne.
Good to have you on today. Now, when I met you a few months ago, I had never heard of a certified professional organizers. Can you give our listeners a feel for what that is and what you do?
Yeah, essentially what we do is we help people to we go into their homes and offices and sometimes other spaces that they have, garages, kitchens, storage facilities, and help them get organized, whatever that might look like for them. So it's a lot of clearing clutter, setting up systems, helping them to be more effective in their overall life and their business.
Good. Now, a lot of people may think that organization is something that they can get around to later or something that they might not consider to be vital to the success of their business. But I'm imagining that you would disagree with that assumption. Is that correct?
That's correct. I think a lot of people do put it off because they're just too busy and they feel like they can't afford to spend the time to do it. And we tend to think, what are the costs of actually not getting organized, which can be anything from lost items to actually lost income and revenue.
Wow, lost income. Now, how can someone lose income out of not being organized?
Well, let's say, for example, somebody doesn't have a good system for following up with clients and leads, then that could be money that they're leaving on the table because they're just, somebody might say that they're interested in working with them, and because maybe they went to a networking event and they collected a business card and then didn't have a way of going back to their office to actually follow up with that person, then they might have lost the opportunity to do business with them.
Right. We talk about that a lot on the show. We talk about customer relationship management, and there's a lot of different systems and structures to handle that. And I never really thought about it in the context of your overall organizational plan. So what are some of the other reasons people might need a professional organizer?
Well, certainly too much clutter is one of the reasons. People feel like they have too much stuff and they don't know what to do with. They're not sure what to keep and what to get rid of. That's especially true with paper, all kinds of paper. They can't find things. A lot of times things are lost, and sometimes there's some sort of consequence that they're facing if they don't get things in order.
What can you give us an example of that in your experience? Yeah.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Well, in some cases, people might be facing some trouble due to tax issues because they don't have the documents that they need to file their taxes appropriately and or on time. They might have missing deeds for property that they own. So sometimes they're, in extreme cases, not so much in a business sense, but we find it more with residential organizing. And sometimes people have issues, and the city can actually get involved because there might be extreme clutter or other circumstances.
Wow. That's certainly appropriate with tax time coming up. Yes. Any of you folks out there that need help getting ready for that, we'll make sure you know how to contact Michelle later in the show. And if you want to ask Michelle a question, again, the contact number here at the studio is 800-555-5453. Now, Michelle, let's say I'm just kind of an average person with kind of a messy desk at home, or my office is a little out of whack. What are the signs, or when do I know that I need help beyond what I can do myself?
I would say, if there's things that you can't find, if you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, I mentioned before, if there's a consequence that you're facing or about to face, sometimes people in your life, i.e. coworkers, might indicate that they're frustrated maybe with the condition of things, or that maybe someone's not performing optimally to where they could or should be.
Wow, that brings up an interesting point. When you're in a workplace and you've got some people who are neat and some people who are not so neat, what are some of the dynamics involved, or how could, when you are asked to step in and deal with kinds of differing approaches to being organized, how do you handle that in a workplace? Or how can you help people with that?
Well, first of all, I kind of like to get a basic understanding of who each of the individuals in that environment are. And, for example, there's different organizational styles, such as stuff-out people versus stuff-away people. So you've probably seen them in the workplace. The stuff-out people tend to have more visual cues and reminders. They might have sticky notes around their monitor. They tend to have more piles of paper and different kinds of visual cues and reminders. And that sort of is comforting to them and helps them remember the things that they need to do and take care of. The stuff-away people, on the other hand, they like to have everything cleared off of their desk, everything is filed, neatly put away, and they don't tend to have a lot of objects around them. Naturally, these two people are pretty opposite, and they don't always work well visually in the same environment. So I like to give each person there an understanding of the other person's style, and sometimes we can create some sort of compromise so that they can work together. So if the stuff-out person has more piles than the stuff-away person is really comfortable with, then maybe we can set a compromise that they can have 2 piles as opposed to 5. And certainly within that, then we have to look at what the objectives are of the company and the management and what they're looking to achieve in that environment. But when everyone's working towards the same goal, then that's really what the bigger picture is.
Excellent. As an aside, one of the beautiful things about radio is Jay and I are sitting here and no one can see our stuff. but it's here. So, Michelle, what are some of the other benefits of using a professional organizer? Once you've come in and kind of fixed things up for people, what are some of the benefits?
Well, I think that overall being able to find things and not have that stress to know and feel confident that you know what you're doing, you know where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, you have all the documents that you need, and sort of that overall feeling of being in control and knowing what you're going to do next so that you can be on track to achieve your goals. And I think certainly there can be money that's saved by not, going out and replacing items. In an office environment, we see people buy tons of office supplies because they didn't locate them all in the same place. They go out and buy more things, so that's one way that they can save money. But it's the overall feeling of having everything in order so that you really can not be chasing your tail, so to speak, and really be able to achieve the things that you set out to do, as opposed to having to recreate the wheel over and over again.
Right. And I think this is a really important point about what you do, is I think people aren't aware to associate disorganization, clutter, not being able to find things with their stress level. And just the relief, the kind of weight off your shoulders that must provide to know that everything is in its place.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that so much time is spent looking for things that are lost and looking for documents and recreating things over and over and having to just start over again, when really some of the things that we all do can be systematized and there are processes so that it will save time and that we can go on to achieving our bigger goals.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we are definitely advocates of that here at Consulting to Win. We want you to be productive and profitable, and being organized is obviously a great way to head you in that direction. Now, I know that some people might hesitate to call in a professional organizer, and I love how you talk about this. What are some of the reasons why people either are reluctant or hesitate to ask for help in this area?
I think probably the biggest reason is that people think that they should be able to do it on their own. So I'm a professional. I'm running a successful business. I have X number of employees and X number of revenue, and why can't I do this on my own? It should be such a simple, easy thing. So they think that they should be able to do it on their own. We also see that in the home environment with stay-at-home moms, or people just think, I know this stuff, why can't I do it? And I like to think of it as sort of like working, if anyone's worked with a personal trainer. We know what we're supposed to do at the gym to exercise, but somehow by having that person that we're accountable to that's teaching us the skills, we're able to stay on track and stay motivated and continue on with the exercise, therefore achieving our goal of overall strength, fitness, or weight loss, whatever it may be.
Right. And I know one time before when we spoke, you alluded to the fact that some of these hesitations can even go back to childhood and things that you've experienced in the past regarding clutter. Can you talk to our listeners a little bit about that?
Sure. I think, there's a lot of shame about organization or lack thereof. And, everybody knows that story, or maybe it was themselves, of that person who was sort of humiliated in the second grade when they didn't have their homework or, forgot their book report. And it's sort of that, finger pointing, you should be more organized. And so I think some people, certainly some of the adults that I'm working with now, grew up in an environment and sort of with this stigma that they weren't organized, and sort of started to believe that. And, maybe they saw signs of it, but it's just this overall sort of judgment that's put on people that it's almost as if it's a character flaw, whereas I tend to believe it's really a learned skill.
So talk to me a little bit about that. So organization is because you've talked about stuff away people and stuff out people. So how much of this is nature and how much of it is nurture? I mean, can a stuff out pile person become an organized person?
Well, I think that a stuff-out person can definitely become an organized person, and I think that goes back to, what is their level of excellence in terms of organization. So we know, for example, that a pile person, that approximately 48% of the population are pile people. So we know that there are people that are out there doing it that are having very effective, organized, successful businesses and lives. So what the goal is with somebody who's a piler is to be able to help them to be able to find things and have that organizational strategy be the most effective for them.
Okay. What are some of the other different styles that people have? I mean,
well, there's the stuff out probably and the stuff away person, and then there's the piler versus the filer, and then there's different combinations of each one. So a stuff out person might have more piles, but then they might file certain elements, and so there's usually a different there's a cross between each of the styles, but usually one will dominate over another, and so a stuff-out person can become a stuff-away person, but it's usually more challenging for them.
So does a stuff-away person ever become a stuff-out person?
Well,
I just find this fascinating, the psychology.
It can certainly become environmental. So we know that opposites usually attract, so it's not unusual that you might be in a relationship with somebody who is your opposite. And so sometimes we know that relationships can tend to mesh into each other. So a stuff-out person could become a little bit more of a stuff-away person and vice versa, but it really depends on that person's commitment to wanting to change that behavior.
Okay, good. So again, I want to give the phone number here in the studio. If you have questions for Michelle, if you have a specific organizational issue or a conflict in your office, or just are wondering how to start this process, give us a call here at 800-555-5555. 5453. Again, my guest today is Michelle Vieira. She is a certified professional organizer. Can you tell us what it means to be, what did you have to do to become a certified professional organizer? I'm sure there's a lot of people that are new to this concept.
Well, actually, it's pretty new in our industry. It's about 3 years old, and it's a voluntary effort. And essentially, we needed to prove that we had over 1,200 hours working with clients in the field. And then there were CEUs, continuing education units of classes and different things that we needed to be able to take to prove that we had studied in professional organizing and different kinds of other issues that a client might face and challenges in being organized. And then we also took a written test.
Wow.
And now there's a recertification process to be able to keep up that education. So it's
Excellent.
certainly a voluntary effort, but those of us who have done it feel like it's another level of just being able to serve our clients better.
Right. So if I'm looking for someone in this field, I should look for that certification.
Well, I think so, but I
Right.
think there are certainly lots of great organizers out there, and certification is voluntary. But
Okay.
I tend to think that it's just another level of adding value to our client base.
Wonderful. I want to get into now, and we'll probably do a little of this in the rest of this segment and take it into the next segment about just what someone can expect when they work with you. Let's say I've been looking around the office. I've got one of these deadlines coming up. I can't find my tax forms, can't find my 1099s. My kid's report card is lost and he needs it to get his driver's license or whatever it is. And so I finally have realized that I cannot do this myself and I need to call Michelle Vieira. So what is the process then, Michelle? How do you start working with people?
Well, actually, you kind of started the conversation there. So we have a phone conversation. Usually it's on the phone. Sometimes it's in person. And we talk about exactly what's not working organizationally. What are the challenges? So you mentioned the taxes and that you're looking for report card information. And also, why are you looking to get organized now? So maybe because tax time is approaching, maybe there's a parent-teacher conference coming up. So what caused you to call right now? So we're trying to get at what's happening in your life or business to make you want to seek the services of a professional organizer. And perhaps most importantly, what is it that you want to achieve? What is the feeling that if we achieve these goals that you'll feel? So you'll be less stressed, you'll get your taxes done on time, you'll avoid going to jail, whatever that means for you, so that we can set up to win.
Right.
Then we decide to have our first session together where we'll establish a clear goal of what we're going to tackle in our time together. And so that might be just helping initially to sort your papers and get some sort of filing system together. And just actually getting down and beginning that work. And so people usually find that the process of working with somebody else, again, sort of like with the personal trainer, then they're able to kind of start and get the momentum going so that they can maybe remove the blocks that they've been unable to do this for whatever reason on their own to date.
Uh-huh. Now, when someone calls you up and you kind of ask those probing questions, does that get your mind turning on, I'm going to need to approach this person in this way as opposed to this way? I mean, how do you obviously you have to do some kind of little analysis of the job ahead of you.
Yes, absolutely. But that's the phone part is really important because they'll say things that give different cues and reminders. So you talked about the things that were lost, and usually there's mention of a stress or somebody again that's upset with them, or they're feeling like they're not meeting their goals or they're just not where they want to be. Mm-hmm. So I'm always thinking of what are the right tools that I would bring in for them. And again, some of that goes back to what their style is.
Right. And then in that first appointment, when you go out to the house, we are going to talk about this briefly here. So you would have a phone conversation first, and then you schedule an on-site appointment. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And how long do those normally take?
They're usually 4 hours, and that's kind of after years of doing this that I found is a time where we can really get a little project accomplished and really start to see some visual results and often give the client a feeling of real relief.
Okay, good. Well, we are going to go to a break right now, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more with Michelle about what someone could expect when she comes to your place of business or home. Leanne Farmer here on Consulting to Win. We'll be right back.
Do you own your own business? What would happen if your computer system crashed? Would you be able to recover in a reasonable amount of time? Left Brain Tech's computer services caters to business owners who want reliable computer systems that work and are backed up in case of emergency. For your entire computer needs, call 888-239-2216 or visit leftbraintechs.com. IT solutions done right with Left Brain Techs. That's 888-239-2216 or leftbraintechs.com.
Making it perfect or nothing else is the company culture at Goldbrecht USA, a premier luxury window and door manufacturer. Doing business since 1889, every window and door is made with old-world craftsmanship and the finest materials, meticulous design, sleek finishing, and a commitment to the environment. They even use environmentally friendly transportation. Made in Germany, available in the U.S., Goldbrecht USA is located in Santa Monica, California. For the world's best windows and doors, visit www.goldbrechtusa.com or call now at 310-393-5540. That's 310-393-5540.
If you're like the 8 out of 10 women that say finding jeans that fit is a problem, well, your problem is solved. Lee Jeans has done extensive research, and they have jeans that fit. There's even an online Lee Fit Finder, so you can find the right fit for you. Imagine jeans that instantly slim you with a custom fit and no gap waistband. And guys, kids, Lee has jeans for you too. Click through to Lee's Jeans on the HealthyLife.net advertiser page and get what fits.
Put a little light in your life and keep it shining with Intellectric.net, a full-service lighting design company. If you need a top electrical contracting firm to deal with all facets of electrical, from concept to completion, including repair, call Intellectric.net at 310-838-5486. They can use green technology. They are home automation specialists and they are high-end residential specialists. With prompt and efficient service, Intellectric.net has over 10 trucks, 28 employees, and on-call electricians available to handle your needs. Educated in state-of-the-art techniques and technology for all your electrical needs. Call dependable, innovative Intellectric.net today at 310-838-5486. Keep your light shining. Call 310-838-5486 or visit online at Intellectric.net.
HealthyLife.net for healthy side effects.
Welcome back. This is Consulting to Win, and I'm Leanne Farmer, filling in today for Ralph White. My guest on the show today is Michelle Vieira. She is a certified professional organizer, and we're talking about not only just the systems and structures that go into getting yourself organized, but kind of the psychology behind the different styles of organization. And we've been talking with Michelle about what someone could expect when they hire someone like her to come in and help them out. And it starts with a phone conversation, and then Michelle, you said the second step is an on-site evaluation or work session. What happens in that first session on site?
So in the first session, then we have established a goal. We usually did that on the phone, although many times when I show up at a home or office, I think we're going to do one thing, and it turns out that there was maybe a new development, and we end up doing something a little bit different, but that's okay because we can adapt because it's all about change. And so we are assessing what the situation is, and we determine what the goal is. So, and the example we were talking about earlier, then there was maybe some papers that were misplaced, and we needed to kind of get a system. There was actually something that was lost. So we're looking for what are we trying to accomplish? We're trying to get the papers organized, and we're trying to find the report card that was missing or other documents. So we are putting a strategy and system together, and it's going to be based on how that person needs to access information. So in this case, we might create a filing system. Maybe they're a bit of a piler, so we need to have some effective use of piling, and something that's going to be an operational system for them to be able to locate the things that they need to be able to work with.
Right. Again, I want to give the number here in the studio. If you have a question for Michelle, you can reach us at 800-555-5453 if you want to know some tips or the best way to approach your own organizational challenges. Now, Michelle, I would call myself kind of middle of the road. It would be interesting to know what my husband would say. He's very, very organized. We're one of those probably opposite attracts kind of situations, but I feel I'm a pile person. I admit it here on live radio. I'm a pile person, but I feel like I can find things in my piles. To me, it sounds like 4 hours is a long time. Does it really take 4 hours to kind of revamp the way somebody is approaching their organizational skills?
Well, I think for every person it's different, but in that 4 hours, if you're somebody who already has their paper under control, then it might not take 4 hours for you. 4 hours is kind of the average that I've found, because usually it's not that, or the piles aren't that orderly when I get there. So in many cases, people are not able to find things, and so they really don't have any kind of system in place. So, and sometimes it might not just be the paper that we're working on. Maybe that they want to, again, start doing something to be able to manage their business cards that they're receiving a little bit better, or maybe we'll talk about time management.
Right. So
one of your favorite topics.
It sure is. And so you really kind of, you get there and you find the tip of the iceberg and then you keep digging, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, sometimes the reason they called me in, it could be something that's entirely different.
Okay. Now, when you approach a business setting and you've got kind of more than one individual that you're dealing with, how do you approach that? Like if a company is called up and just said, we've got to get organized in order to meet with our auditors or whatever it is, how is that different from working with individuals in their homes?
Well, I think when there's a business, then certainly there's a little bit more rules, if you will. So we need to certainly acknowledge what is management's wishes, what is the brand of the company, what are any kinds of rules that they have. So, for example, if it's a corporate situation, then we know that there's going to be some corporate rules we'll need to follow. So we need to kind of be aware of what their rules and guidelines are. So, for example, maybe it's a shared file system. Maybe they have document retention guidelines that they need to follow because maybe it's a medical or a law office. So we need to kind of know what the structure is, what management is looking to achieve, and then kind of build the systems and sometimes the training around that.
Okay. And then do you recommend specific products or filing cabinets, or do you go and provide those things, or how does that work? How do you install the things that in your opinion are going to make the difference in terms of people being able to get organized?
Great question. Certainly, I like to look around the office and see what somebody already has, because we always want to maximize their budget and what they have so that we're not bringing actually more stuff into the physical space. So we look to see what's happening, and that's actually one of the last steps is the actual products, because first we want to evaluate what we're going to have that we'll be keeping and what's going to actually live in that physical space. So once we determine, how much paper we have, how many file drawers, for example, we might be needing, then we can talk about what the right solution would be. And again, that's going to depend on who needs to access it. If there's multiple people in that office, then it might need to be a lateral file cabinet that's located in more of a central area.
Okay, excellent. Now, my next big question is for you is, once you've come in and you've reorganized everything, you've trained people, you've provided the products that are going to keep them organized, do they stick with it? How do you keep them to stick with this new plan?
Well, I think as much as I keep them, they're keeping themselves, and it's this is definitely a process. I will do everything I can to have somebody be successful, and they have to want to be organized and be committed to that. So there will be definitely some commitment and participation on their part to do the part that we call the equalizing, which is the actual maintenance. So we'll get it set up, and according to who they are, how they like to do things, and how they actually want to use that system. But there will always be some sort of maintenance, or what is often termed as equalizing, and that came from Organizing from the Inside Out, which is one of the first books written about organizing by Julie Morgenstern. And it's the process of going in and kind of setting things back in place. So at the end of your day, you're putting things back into the files if you took them out, returning books, returning things back to their proper homes, if you will. Because we know that if that doesn't happen and 3 days in a row you're out seeing clients and having meetings and conducting trainings, then by the end of the week, then certainly the office can get a little untidy again.
Right. Now, do you provide ongoing support to help keep people on track?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, as a service to my clients, and I'm available to them via phone and via email should they have any questions, because I always like to check in with them, what's working that we set up, and maybe something isn't. Sometimes you have to spend a little bit of time with something. It might need some adjustments. So certainly I'm available for consultations on that. But I also have some clients who are my regular maintenance clients, and those are the people who, for whatever reason, can't or won't maintain the system on their own. So some people just find that they would rather spend their time and energy doing what is their specific skill set, and they want to have me or someone on my team come in and just do a little bit of adjustment periodically for them.
Right. Do you see a pretty good success rate once somebody has gotten help from someone like you and you've trained them and set them up? Are people usually pretty successful in keeping things going?
The majority of them are, and certainly, that those are people who just were their business and their life is already running pretty well, and they just need a little bit of fine-tuning and adjustment and some strategies and maybe some systems to help them to take things to the next level. There are other people who kind of have more ongoing challenges, and sometimes they have conditions that are going on. There could be things happening in their life from different kinds of transition issues. Maybe they had a loss in their life or particular stress at home. They might have some sort of learning condition. They might have some sort of mood disorder, and those are different kinds of things that might make it a little harder for somebody to get and stay organized.
Wow. It just goes to show you that something that we think might be so simple as getting organized has really got a lot more to it than that, a lot of psychology, a lot of methodology. We're going to take a break right here. Michelle, stay on the line with us. We want to give our listeners a chance to find out how to contact you, and we'll wrap things up with Michelle Vieira right after this.
Imagine Possibilities Unlimited. Well, they're here, and they want to help your business. Possibilities Unlimited offers the best business consulting and coaching that provides incredible results. Ralph White and his team of experts bring a variety of experience and expertise to your business. Discover how their whole life matrix can positively affect your personal and business life. Focusing on key challenges, they'll devise a customized plan and give you the support you need every step of the way until you achieve your intended results. Call Possibilities Unlimited today at 310-372-8538. That's 310-372-8538. No business is too big or too small. Possibilities Unlimited can help them all. Call now at 310-372-8538 or visit consulting2win.com. That's consulting2win.com.
Do you own your own business? What would happen if your computer system crashed? Would you be able to recover in a reasonable amount of time? Left Brain Tech's computer services caters to business owners who want reliable computer systems that work and are backed up in case of emergency. For your entire computer needs, call 888-239-2216 or visit leftbraintechs.com. IT solutions done right with Left Brain Techs. That's 888-239-2216 or leftbraintechs.com.
Oh man, it never fails. My suitcase just got ripped apart.
Life is a journey. Make it a pleasant one. Use Samsonite. You know the name. For almost a century, Samsonite luggage has proved itself to be the worldwide leader in innovative travel solutions. Let it be yours. Visit HealthyLife.net's affiliate Samsonite on our homepage and click to look at the fine luggage from suitcases to golf travel bags. And don't forget, take a look at their travel accessories. Make life a journey, a pleasant one, with Samsonite.
Whether your business is in products or services, one thing you need to be successful is sales. And now you can take the mystery out of selling and discover how to consistently produce top sales results with Possibilities Unlimited 8-week Sales to Win course. The Sales to Win course can be attended by anyone from anywhere because it's given by conference call. You'll be taught by top sales and marketing experts all about the sales process, and you'll be given top techniques and tips. It's all simply broken down for you and presented in a stress-free environment. But the best thing is, it's so affordable. It's money well spent because you'll make even more money back with your increased sales. Don't wait. Enroll in the Sales to Win course for yourself and your sales staff right now. You won't want to miss this opportunity to raise your bottom line. Call 310-372-8538. That's 310-372-8538.
HealthyLife.net, the Positive Radio Network.
Welcome back to Consulting to Win. I'm Leanne Farmer, filling in for Ralph White, joined now in the studio by my colleague Bonnie Landau. How are you today, Bonnie?
I'm doing great. Thanks,
Good,
Leanne.
good. Bonnie and I are going to be talking coming up about our Sales to Win program and some other things that we have going on the Consulting to Win side. But I still have our wonderful guest, Michelle Vieira, on the line with us. Michelle is a certified professional organizer. She's been telling us all kinds of interesting things about what it means to get organized and what kind of benefits it can bring to your world. And Michelle, during the break, I was thinking about a question for you. For those of us who have children who are getting to be old enough to keep themselves organized, do you ever work with families in that way? I mean, are there any tips you can give us to help train our kids or set good habits to keep them organized?
Well, I think that it's such a wonderful question to ask, because there are so many children who are now my clients, and I'm thankful for that, and they were never taught any skills about organizing. It's not something that's taught in schools, and it's unfortunately not taught in many families. But I think that kids are looking for it, and especially now where there's just inundated with so much stuff. Even if you walk around, in my day we had lockers, but now you see them walking around with these ginormous backpacks.
Right.
And some of them are wheeling them, and all this paperwork and all these classes that they need to attend, and they need to be taught at an early age how to make decisions about things, so that when it's time for them to go off to college, then they don't want to take everything to the dorm room with them. So it's really good at an early age to sort of get with your kids, and at the end of every month, or certainly at the end of every school year, and talk about what are the papers that they want to keep, what is the artwork that they want to keep, so that they start to make decisions about what's really important to them, or as I like to say, what matters, so that they know and they can make decisions and be equipped to be able to do those kinds of things, because as they go through life, they're just going to be inundated with more stuff.
It's so true. I mean, you really hit on something with the kids today and all the stuff they have to manage at such a young age. And if they don't have the tools and techniques that you can help people with, they're going to be in trouble later on.
Yeah. And certainly, I'd say to your favorite topic, time management, so
right.
many kids are overscheduled these days.
Oh, it's so true.
That their parents have them in every kind of activity, and I just see these little people that are so stressed already at 8, 9, 10 years old.
And so we can help alleviate some of that stress within the home with just giving them maybe just some simple ways to organize their toys, organize their clothes, that kind of thing?
Right. Just really simple strategies. And you can even do that with very young children, with their toys, and put in a picture of, things with wheels on the front of a clear container, so that little children can learn, probably, about 2 or 3 years old, and they can start to know what things go together and start to put those things away. And that's part of the equalizing process, which I recommend people do every day. So you could do something like set a timer and play some music and get the kids to help you equalize, so that mom or dad's not doing all of it all day long.
I love it. I think I'm going to go home tonight, put some wheels on some boxes. So, Michelle, if people want some help and they have been listening to the program and they want to give you a call, how can they reach you to get your help with getting organized? They
can call 818-519-2938. That's 818-519-2938, or contact me via my website, which is michelleviera.com. That's M-I-S like Sam, HELEVIEIRA.com.
Wonderful. And just before we let you go, I'm just curious, what's some of the feedback you get from your clients once you've kind of revolutionized their organizational skills? What do they tell you about how things have changed for them?
I feel really lucky I've worked with some amazing people who have just gotten incredible results and said anything from, you have made such a difference. I wish I would have hired you a lot sooner. My business has doubled in size. My family life is going so much better. You're amazing, and just all these wonderful things. And it was it's so great to hear that. And really, it was a team effort, and them taking the first step and really deciding that they wanted their life to be different.
Fantastic. Well, Michelle, I can't thank you enough for being on the program today. It's really been enlightening to me, and I'm sure to our listeners. We work so often with people who are trying to change the way they do their business, achieve greater results, be more productive, be more efficient. We talk a lot about time management and getting things into the calendar, but this is a big piece of it as well that I think people just tend to sweep under the rug. So please, my listeners, please give Michelle Vieira a call. Let's hear your number one more time, Michelle.
818-519-2938.
Just like we can coach you to win the game of business, Michelle can coach you to win the game of piles and the things that are and make room for the things that matter most. That's what she talks about. Michelle, thanks so much for being on the program. And
Thank you.
And now Bonnie Landau and I are here in the studio, and we have a lot of things going on at Consulting to Win. Bonnie, can you tell our listeners what are some of the things we have coming up?
Oh, I'm so excited because we're really starting to move out into the community and show people what Possibilities Unlimited can do to help increase your sales. I mean, I know I personally am a benefactor of the wonderful knowledge and information that isn't shared. Our company's grown so much. Mm-hmm. And then I was really thrilled when they asked me to join the team to help with the Sales to Win program, where we get to share with other people the fabulous insights and ideas that can change your approach to sales.
Right.
Really changing the way, not just how you do sales, but how you think about sales.
Right. The Sales to Win program, if you haven't heard us talk about that before, is an 8-session course. It's done all via teleconference and internet forums and message boards. And we work with people over a 4-month period to really, as Bonnie was alluding to, kind of shift who they are being in the game of sales. And our next Sales to Win program is going to be starting on Tuesday, March 23rd at 11 o'clock Pacific time. And so we wanted to take this opportunity to kind of give you a brief overview of that and also let you know about some opportunities that we have coming up to experience what it's like to be coached by those of us on staff at Possibilities Unlimited and to experience kind of a taste of Sales to Win.
One of the exciting things is our new program, Speed Sales, mm-hmm. which the Chamber has offered to sponsor the initial workshop. And basically, right. I'm sure most of our listeners have heard of speed dating. Speed dating is when you get a few minutes to meet somebody and then you get to choose whether or not you want to go out with them later. Well, Speed Sales is an opportunity. Actually, you'll get 5 opportunities in this first workshop on March 18th through the LAX Chamber, and it's going to be in the evening, and members or non-members can come, so if you're not a member of the Chamber, right. It's okay. And you get an opportunity you get a pitch, your sales pitch to somebody, and then they're going to give you feedback. So you get to get coaching to find out how well you're performing in terms of selling your product or service. And what's really, really fabulous about it is not only are you going to get feedback and input so that you can improve your sales, but you might even make a sale. It'll be right. a networking opportunity too.
Right.
So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a great evening. As Bonnie said, it's going to be Thursday, March 18th from 5 to 7:30. We're going to have some little nibbles for you there at the beginning, give you a chance to exchange business cards with the people that are there. Meet Ralph White and Bonnie Landau and me. And as she said, that's going to take place at the LAX Chamber office. You can Google the LAX Coastal Chamber of Commerce and get more information on that. And we certainly will be talking about it here on the program. When we come back, we're going to talk about another opportunity we have coming up to participate with the coaches at Consulting to Win and Possibilities Unlimited. So stay right with us. We're going to talk about sales some more when we come back.
There are 3 wise women at Possibilities Unlimited, and if you want to improve your business's bottom line, you'll want to get to know them because they want to help you with your business, and they can. Wise web woman Bonnie Landau will help make your website the best it can be. She'll help you with all web-related things, including social media. Wise marketing woman Mary Mullinoff wields her magic to find and obtain sales leads for you, and she'll help you identify and qualify prospects. Leanne Farmer, Wise Work, Life Woman, hones your customer relations, communications, and sales skills as she teaches you how to manage your work and life in balance. There are options of coaching with one or all three wise women. Get to know them now. Call 310-372-8538. That's 310-372-8538, or visit consulting2win.com. That's consulting2win.com.
What does HealthyLife.net and Amazon.com have in common? Well, they're both available on the internet. They both give great value. But most important, most of our positive program hosts and guests are accomplished authors, and their books are available from, you got it, Amazon.com. Now it even gets better than that, because when you're listening on air to a HealthyLife.net host or guest, you can go directly to Amazon.com and you can order your book while you're still listening to your favorite HealthyLife.net program. So when you hear an author you like, go to the homepage of HealthyLife.net and click on Amazon.com.
Demystify the world of social marketing and get it to work for you. You can maximize your market potential in sales, and Bonnie Landau of Possibilities Unlimited can help. Discover how to use Twitter, LinkedIn, and more to market your business. Learn how to expand your prospect base, improve your web presence, but more importantly, get results. Your possibilities are unlimited. Social networking can impact your bottom line in a positive way. Find out how with Bonnie Landau.